All right. Let's see, we have people coming in. Probably want to give everyone like a minute before we start, and I'll go introduce myself, and we can jump into the demo or presentation. Yeah, while we go through this presentation, you might see some alerts beneath my screen here saying subtitles aren't available. Just ignore that. It's the way I'm sharing my presentation. All right, just to make sure that we're able to cover everything that we need to cover today, I'll get started now. Um, my name is Anthony Ogutoye, and I'm a modern work technical specialist here at Microsoft, and I cover our collaboration stack from Microsoft Teams, and of course now Copilot for M365. But yeah, thank you for joining the webinar and on unleashing efficiency with Microsoft Copilot and its ecosystem. So let's go ahead and dive deep into this. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the chat. And if we have some time after this presentation and webinar, I'll be able to also have some other pending questions if there are still some left there. So, all right. And I'll take myself off camera while we do this, just to make sure that I give you all my bandwidth that I have here. Okay. All right, so going through the agenda today, of course, I already done the intro. We're going to talk about the different co-pilots. I'm going to go deep dive into Microsoft 365 Copilot. We'll talk about Microsoft 365 Copilot in Microsoft applications. And of course, we'll go through the demo and questions and answers if there are any at the end. So Copilot is available. Copilot for M365 is available in Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, and Microsoft View. Now, within Teams application, within your Teams app, of course, we have Teams meetings, we have Teams voice, we have whiteboarding meetings, and we have many more, right? So when we say Teams, there's a lot to Teams than just, your regular chatting channels, so Copilot is embedded in Teams. And you also have your Copilot chatbot, which is M365 Chat, as an application within Teams. And I'll show you what that looks like as well as we go through the demo. So Copilot is available to individuals and organizations, and this is something that, at least for the individuals, that was announced, I believe, last week. So this is pretty new for those that may not know this. Now, we have Copilot for individuals and Copilot Pro for individuals as well. Now, we also have Copilot for organizations, and we have Copilot for Microsoft 365 for organizations. Now, you may wonder what all these features below are, and I'll go through a brief description of or explanation of what these are. And as we go through the demo, I'll also be able to explain some of this to you as well. So starting with foundational capabilities, some of Copilot's foundational capabilities include answering questions, creating content, and reasoning over data. Right now, of course, if you've used, Bing Chat Enterprise, which was rebranded to Copilot, you already understand that that's, your AI for search, right? So that's basically your foundational capability. Now, we have something called web grounding. This is when a user inputs a prompt in an application, of course, within your M365 apps. Copilot preprocesses this input prompt through an approach called grounding. which improves the accuracy of the prompt to help you get answers that are relevant and actionable to your specific task. Normally, or back in the day, it's almost becoming a back in the day thing now for me. If I have a topic or I'm trying to research something, I go into a search engine, I search, and of course, a bunch of URLs, websites basically spin out, and I'm like, okay, I'm not getting exactly what I want. In some situations, you might. Using AI, to do research, or having AI as a search engine as well, helps you get, a better accuracy to your prompts, to your question, right? So if I go in there and I'm asking a question in a particular topic, I get an explanation on that topic and I get references as well to go with it. We also have commercial data protection. What this means is that Microsoft cannot see any of your data of your work or use it to train the underlying large language model. And this service will not retain your prompts or responses, right? So as you can see here, under Copilot itself. Now we have priority model access. This is a premium subscription offering that provides users with priority access to the latest models, including OpenAI's GPT-4 and GPT-4 Turbo, even during peak times. I've heard people say, hey, I was using this particular AI and for some reason it's not working or it's outdated. You don't get that with Copilot. It's always updated. It's always working. Of course, as long as you have the license, right? So this subscription also offers faster AI image creation and access to Copilot in your favorite Microsoft 365 apps, including Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and OneNote. Then we have Microsoft Graph Grounding. Microsoft 365 Copilot uses grounding to assign extra context and content to the prompt, which makes the response more relevant to what the user requires. Context can be acquired from anything within Graph. This includes emails, files, meetings, chats, and calendars. Also, we have enterprise-grade data protection. So Microsoft Copilot for M365 has an enterprise data protection and is compliant with existing privacy, security, and compliance commitments to M365 commercial customers, including GDPR and EU data boundary. It also inherits your existing M365 security, privacy, identity, and compliance policies. Just something to have in mind, right? So Copilot GPT Builder, this is new, and of course, this is for individuals. So this is a new tool that allows users to create their custom AI models without extensive coding knowledge. It is a part of the Copilot Pro for individuals. And it's a new subscription that provides a higher tier of service for AI capabilities. Then, of course, we have something similar on the commercial side for organizations, which is called Copilot Studio. This is a low-code tool that enables you to customize Copilot for M365 and build standalone Copilots. Copilot Studio provides a web-based platform that completely transforms the way M365 customers approach application development and extension. So going on from this, let's look at what the basic architecture is for M365 Copilot, right? So just to give you an overview of what this looks like on the back end, this diagram shows the Microsoft 365 service boundary, which includes your Microsoft 365 applications. We also have the large language model, the Microsoft Graph. You also see the semantic index. This is a tool that enhances the search experience in Microsoft 365. This is built on Microsoft Graph. It is an improvement to Microsoft 365 search that we may all have an idea about. It lays the foundation for the next generation of search to help improve the Copilot experience. So honestly, this does a lot of the heavy lifting. When Copilot receives an input prompt from a user in an application such as Word and PowerPoint, it processes the input prompt through an approach called grounding that I just talked about. This improves the accuracy of the prompt to help you get answers that are relevant and actionable to your specific task. The prompt can include text from input files or other content discovered by Copilot. Copilot sends this prompt to the LLM for processing. Copilot only accesses data that an individual user has existing access to, based on existing Microsoft 365 role-based access controls. Right? So remember, it inherits, the policies that you currently have right now within your tenants. Copilot takes the response from the LLM and then post-processes it. The post-process includes other grounding calls to Microsoft Graph, responsible AI checks, security, compliance, and privacy reviews, and command generation. It then sends the response back to the app where the user can review and access that response. Now, of course, Microsoft's approach to privacy, right? So Microsoft Copilot for M365 only surfaces organizational data to which individual users have at least view permissions. It's important that you're using the permission models available in Microsoft 365 service, such as SharePoint, to help ensure the right users or groups have the right access to the right content within your organization. When you enter prompts using Microsoft Copilot for M365, the information contained within your prompts, the data they retrieve, and the generated responses remain within the Microsoft 365 service boundary, in accordance with our current privacy, security, and compliance commitments. So it basically stays within your tenant. Now let's talk about Copilot in some of our applications here. So let's start with Copilot for M365 chat. So this is Copilot chatbot. Copilot has a deep understanding of you, your job, your priorities, and your organization. It can find whatever you need in your files, even the files you forgot existed. And it can connect the dots across all your content and context at the speed of light. The more you use Copilot, the more deeply it reflects even the most subtle aspects of your work and your team. It's like having, someone attend all your meetings, even the meetings that you actually missed. Someone read your emails, even the emails you missed. It frees you to focus on most important and meaningful aspects of work, the things only you can do. And let's talk about Copilot in Teams meetings. This is actually my favorite one. I will look more into this in the demo. So imagine you have an appointment that conflicts with your weekly business review. What if you could do both? With Copilot, you can opt to follow a meeting after the meeting ends. Copilot will summarize what you missed. You'll get a notification in Teams when the recap is ready. The recap will highlight content that was shared, summarize notes, and any action items for you or others whose names were mentioned. You see that one of your customers was discussed and you want to learn more, you can ask Copilot clarifying questions and it provides a detailed response. It can tell you why a certain decision was made and gives you helpful context. You can even ask Copilot what other solutions were considered. It provides citations from the transcripts so you can see where Copilot drew the conclusions, right? Let's say you're in a meeting with your team. You can ask Copilot to summarize that meeting as well. You can see how it summarized who said what points were made, and it's really capturing the spirit of the discussion. While we're going into the demo, I'll show you, which some of us might already be familiar with Intelligent Recap. But of course, with the Copilot license, you now have Intelligent Recap included with Copilot, which is pretty amazing. So, but just to give you an overview of what Intelligent Recap is for some of us some of those that may not already have it. Intelligent Recap experience a great way to get started because it is built in and automated for all users. It provides a familiar and standardized experience. It segments the recording with video timeline markers and is available after the meeting. So when you turn on recording and transcription, after the meeting, you'll get that recording. And of course, if you have Copilot license, you can then use Copilot to get insights into that meeting. And you can see from the image here, we have your timeline markers, your speaker markers, your topics, chapters, AI generated notes, and of course, you have your Copilot as well on the far right. Now, Copilot in Word. some of us have been in a situation where we stare at a blank document and don't know where to start. With Copilot, you can jumpstart a new document and say goodbye to the dreaded blank document. I'm one of those. Getting started is usually the hardest for me. Once I get started on a document, building on that document is easier. Let me put it that way. So, of course, having Copilot as an assistant in Word is amazing because it can jumpstart that document for you. It will help you write, edit, summarize, and create documents quickly and efficiently. You can add content to existing documents. It will help you summarize text and rewrite sections or the entire document to make it more concise. You can also get suggested tones from professional to passionate and casual to thankful to help you strike the right note. Now, with Copilot in Outlook, this helps you clear your inbox in minutes, not hours or days. It can summarize long email threads to quickly drafting suggested replies. Also, coming soon to Copilot in Outlook, you can follow a Teams meeting that you're unable to attend right from Outlook. When the meeting starts, Teams notifies the organizer to record that meeting. When the recording is ready, Copilot notifies you that the meeting recap is ready for viewing directly in Outlook. You'll soon be able to use the Copilot chat in Outlook to ask questions or get a summary without leaving your inbox as well. Now with PowerPoint, this is a great tool. Copilot in PowerPoint is a great tool to help you create stunning presentations with ease. It can add relevant content from documents you made last week or last year, create custom images using OpenAI's image generator DALL-E, and even suggest talking points and design ideas. And here we have Copilot in Excel. This enables anyone to analyze and visualize data like a data analyst. You can now use Copilot to access advanced analytics and create powerful professional visualizations, generate forecasts, and save time sorting through data in Excel. You can quickly add a formula column, highlight key data with a prompt like make all cells red where the value is under 1,000. You can filter and sort your data and ask questions to instantly uncover key insights. So some of this we'll look at in the demo as well. All right, so let's jump into the demo and I'll start from our basic Copilot in the URL. And this will be Copilot for Web and Copilot for Work, which was rebranded from Bing Chat Enterprise. All right, so you can see here, let me see if I have, okay, so we have Copilot for Web, and you can see here that I have my, Entra ID logged in here. This is the version of Copilot that's currently included in some of our, A3 licenses, A5 licenses, and of course, for those that have the E licenses as well, and Office licenses, you have access to Copilot for Web. What I recommend is log in with your Entra ID and you get your commercial data protection. If you take a look at this, you can see it doesn't say Microsoft 365 anywhere, right? All it says here is Copilot, your everyday AI companion. Now, with this one here, you can use it, right, to, you can ask questions on topics, you can use it to organize, you can, get, codes, you can use draft a joke, whatever question you ask it, whatever prompt, it will also give you references to the response that you get. So let's imagine I actually ask a question. Let me do this first here, all right? So let's imagine I was trying to, write a code, a Java code on tic-tac-toe. So this is the web version. And I hit go. And you can see, hey, I can help you with that. It basically goes out there and it gets you that code, right? Now, of course, if you want it, you can copy this and make sure that you, it's basically giving you the response that you need. You can see here, it says AI generated code, review and use carefully. So you can go in here and, check what, answer it gets back to you. Now, one thing that you'll see here, it says one of 30 responses. That means I can, ask I can ask 29 follow-up questions on this particular topic itself. Let's try something else, right? I'm just going to ask it to talk about, it's almost done, actually. That's a long code. All right, thank you. It also gives you a description of what it is, right? So I like this. Now, if I had a follow-up question, I can ask it, hey, do I need any HTML codes to go with this? Just get a follow-up. It was able to get me the Java. I'm like, all right, that looks cool. Do I need any HTML codes to go with this? This is me just like, hey, I'm not a software engineer, but thank you for this response. So I can come here, I'm like, is there anything else I need to get this working? And it basically comes back and says, the Java code I provided is a console application. I like the fact that it's actually even explaining back and says, hey, if you need HTML, here you go. You can use this as well, right? So it even includes CSS and all that, so, in there. Now, let me stop this. Let's stop responding. If I wanted to ask another question, another topic, it's better to change it by clicking on the new topic. You can see everything I just did now is gone. That last question I asked about tic-tac-toe, the Java prompt, you can't find it anywhere. It's not saved anywhere. It's your admins within your organization or schools, your tenants, do not have access to that prompt and that response that you just got. So let's ask another question, right? I'm just going to type in cloud computing right here. So maybe I'm working on a project on cloud computing. I'm trying to get some information. Maybe a lot of my stuffs are still on-prem in a separate lab that I'm working on. Obviously not your organization's servers. So maybe I'm trying to get some information on cloud computing. As you can see here, went out and got me a lot of information on that. Now, if I go into the work version here, this is a little bit different, right? This has access to your graph. It has access to your files, your chats, your SharePoint files. It has access to what you do, your peers, right? So you can see some of these prompt suggestions. What did the person say about something? Share meeting notes, generate meeting notes from a particular meeting. List key points from a particular file. You can also notice that you can attach a file here as well. Compared to the web version, that you cannot attach a file. It doesn't say anything about anything internal to your tenants, so it's slightly different, right? Just by looking at it. You also have prompt suggestions here where you can get examples of different prompts. And with this one, even though it's not, this history cannot be seen outside the organization, with this one, with a work version, your Copilot chatbot, you can actually see the history of your prompts. And I'll get to the reason why later. Or, I can just mention it now. Your admins, that actually manage your purview and compliance with e-discovery and all that can get access to this if they wanted to. Unlike the web version. Just to have that in mind. Now, of course, it cannot be seen outside the organization. So let's go in here and let's ask about cloud computing. One thing is with the work version, when you ask a question or you put in the prompt, by default, it searches within your tenant. By default, it doesn't go outside your tenant except you ask it to. So if I come down here, I have something called plugins where I can enable web content. So I just turn on web content. So if I ask the same question, actually cloud computing, let me just type it out. And I still have my web content enabled. Yes, let's hit go. It says web content and chats cannot be seen outside the organization. And okay, I'll look for cloud computing. Coming through contacts, documents, emails, it basically tells you what it's doing. If you saw that, where it's basically searching from. So of course, all this is within your graph. I also like that when you ask questions with prompts and within the work version, it lets you know what it finds from your company versus what it found from the web. And of course, it gives you references, right? So, with those references, I can come in here, I can say, hey, you know what, this is from, Azure Data Lakes, this is from, Google. It gives you those references as well. It also gives you references for the ones that it found within your company. Now, I've been talking about the web version. Let's go into Teams and let's look at let's see what this looks like within Teams. I'm going to open up my Teams and I'm going to pop up Copilot. And this is what it looks like. All right, so you can see this is an application within Teams. Let me expand this. It's very similar to the web version. You can see here, catch up on messages, get calendar info, summarize emails. You also have that plugin where you can enable web content, where you can attach a file as well. Another thing that you'll see here is you can ask a question, right? Or use a / to reference people, files, and more. You can also ask a question and use the / to ask a question from within that file, right? Or a question about that person. So let's actually do something. Let me show you how it can pull information from my graph, right? And this specifically from my email. I'm going to ask you to give me a summary on an email that I received a while back. And I'm just going to come in here. Give me a summary on my email titled Azure Consideration, right? Okay, I'll look for email titled Azure Consideration. Coming through emails I found that may be relevant. And you can see here, it goes out there and grabs me that information. Say I received an email from Alice, I also sent an email back to Alice. I sent another one again recently. So it can go out there and grab you information, from within your files, your emails, of things that were spoken with a person, your coworker. It will get you all that information using natural language. I can basically question it, and I'll get answers back. Now, from here, let's jump into Teams meetings, and let's see what we can do with Copilot. See if I can pull this up. All righty, so now this is what, let me pull this back here. This is what Intelligent Recap looks like. Now, of course, to take advantage of Intelligent Recap, like I mentioned, you record that meeting, you turn on transcription. You get Intelligent Recap. It gives you timeline markers, speaker markers, you get your topics, you get your chapters, you get your AI notes, all this automatically generated for you, right? So if you were invited to a meeting, you missed that meeting, you get all of this, so you can go back in. If I wanted to listen to what Jeff said or listen to what Shay said in particular, I don't have to watch the whole thing. I can easily just jump to their own marker and just listen to it. What we now did is we introduced Copilot into this mix. Of course, it's nice and good. I can come in and jump in and listen to what people said. But what if I can just ask questions about the meeting? What if I can just jump in using natural language? Like, hey, what did a particular person say? So within Copilot and Teams meetings, I can use natural language and ask questions like, list main ideas that were discussed in the meeting, something like that. List main ideas we discussed, right? So of course, within the meeting, so let's imagine I was running 15 minutes late, 20 minutes late. I can use natural language to get information on what I missed, what was already discussed. If I missed the meeting as a whole, I can get that information as well. Now, if I wanted information using Copilot and the meeting was not recorded, as long as transcription was enabled, I can still utilize Copilot. Of course, I am not going to get the whole intelligent recap because it wasn't recorded, but as long as transcription was enabled, you can still utilize Copilot, to get insights into that meeting. So you can see here, this meeting is 7.5 minutes long, right? And I was able to just use, natural language, hey, these main ideas were discussed, and you can see here some of the main ideas that were discussed were. Another thing I can do, I can say, tell me what Jeff discussed right? Something like that. Tell me what Jeff discussed, right? Just I also like the fact that it puts like the transcript with a timeline marker. So if I wanted to, I can actually jump in here and go to that particular minute and second to listen to it if I wanted to. So I asked it, what did Jeff? I scroll down. Oh, list ideas. I guess okay. I didn't hit go. I was wondering what happened. Okay, so that was list action item. So I used, this was me clicking on one of the suggested prompts. So you can see, even with the suggested prompt, it was able to get me list action items. It was able to list the action items from the meeting. So you can take advantage of the suggested prompts. And you can also, I guess I keep clicking on that one. You can also use natural language to ask its questions as well. So let's do this. Let me actually go. Let's use the recap this meeting so far. Then another thing to show as well is if I click on more prompts here, you can see prompt suggestions. You also have, like, if there were plugins that were added, it can include that as well here. So you can go to more plugins. If there are plugins that were enabled for your tenants, you can include those plugins as well within your Copilot chatbot or within the meeting. And in a situation like this, where of course it's a computer, you can easily just close the application and start it back up. And I've actually done like 4 demos this morning. So this has been on, and you can see some of the prompts I put in here. So there are situations where, hey, I've kind of like abused this morning. So I may probably just need to restart it. So you can see here as well, list the follow-up tasks, in a table. I was able to get a follow-up task in a table, summarize this meeting so far. I was able to get a summary of the meeting, and it will get all those answers for you. List participants in the Project Falcon meeting. It was able to give me the names and their roles from that meeting. Now, let's go on. I'm actually going to shut this down, kind of restart it. Let's go on into Microsoft Word, and I'll give a scenario where I'm working on a project, and we can go from there and see what Copilot can do for us in our Office applications. All right, so let's pull up Microsoft Word. Let me start a new Word document. And let's do this, actually, make sure I have everything I need. All right, so let's start a new Word document. And once you have a Copilot license, you'll get Draft with Copilot by default. You can also trigger Copilot on the top here. Now, I can use natural language and ask it a question, or I can reference a file, right? So let's imagine I'm still working on cloud computing, and I need to get some information on this, and I need to present this to my peers. I can just use natural language and ask cloud computing, right? Just simple as that. And I can click generate. And it's going out there, pulling things together and getting me information. So of course, you see that from 0 words, I'm already at 151. It got me started, right? Yeah, Copilot as an assistant is amazing. Gets me started. And from there, I can then even do more with Copilot and build on what it started for me. So I have my types of cloud services, deployment, conclusion. So of course, once it's done, I can either keep this, I can regenerate, or I can discard. So let's imagine I want to keep this, right? And I'm like, okay, you know what? I like what I see, types of cloud services. I can jump anywhere here, right? Go down, start a new paragraph, and I can click on Copilot, and I can say, hey, maybe give me benefits of cloud computing. Let me see if I can type well. Benefits of cloud computing. I can reference a file if the file has information on this, or I can just use that natural language and generate that prompt. and it's pulling this information for us. So one of the things that you can do as well is when it's pulling this information for you, and once it's done, let's okay, so I can keep this. Another thing you can do is I can right click and I can ask it to rewrite with Copilot or visualize as a table. Now, with the visualize as a table, I can actually highlight everything if I wanted to. And maybe I want to put this in as a table. I can say, hey, Copilot, visualize as a table. And it can pull all of this together for you, introduction, types of cloud services. All right, and I can keep this. So now let's imagine everything here looks good. I can save this to my SharePoint, and then I can go ahead and pull PowerPoint. Let's look at a blank PowerPoint presentation, and I can trigger Copilot from the top right here. Now with Copilot, I can create a presentation using just keywords or natural language, or I can create a presentation from file. Now, with the create a presentation from file, you can do this from a Word document or a PowerPoint document. So the idea here is I get my /, I get my link to that particular file. So you go ahead, you grab the link. And I paste it, right? And I hit go. So from here, it can convert that Word document to a PowerPoint presentation. It will also tell you what it's doing at every point in the process. So of course, now it's finding the file. It's drafting a presentation. Now it's building it out, introduction, cost, performance, security, scalability, reliability, conclusion. It's generating the slides. And of course, it gives you the status on how many, what the percentage is as it's building it. All right, so I have 9 slides here. One thing that you'll notice as well is you get your speaker notes as well, automatically created for you. Now, if I wanted to add to this, I can use natural language and add more content if I wanted to, right? So let's say I wanted to add, or maybe, okay, so I'm on the cost. Okay, I might say, hey, add 3 more slides on cost of cloud computing. I'm actually going to type that in here. Add 3 more slides on cloud computing, right? And I hit go. It's pulling things together. It's getting me the information I need. And it's basically, it went from 9 to 12 slides, basically. One thing to have in mind as well is when you're working on the design, you can use Designer. And if you have a, what do you call it? If you have a brand or a custom template that you would like to use, you should open that first before you trigger Copilot. So if at this time I cannot use Copilot to call a custom template. I open that template, then I utilize Copilot, right, to build on that particular template that was opened up. So now going on from here, what we can do here is let's look at what Copilot looks like in Excel. And this is slightly different from the way it works in Word and PowerPoint, in as Copilot itself in Excel will not pull in data for you from a blank Excel spreadsheet or application. As you can see, it's grayed out. What you need is you need to actually have a table with data. So you can see here, I was able to pull this in. And I can then come in here, I can click on Copilot. Once I was able to get a table, the Copilot, I was able to click on it. Now, one thing you'll have in mind is I cannot do anything. I cannot click on anything within Copilot. That's because it will tell you I only work in an Excel table, already have a data range available. If I click in the table, as you can see, now I can click in here. I can then start using Copilot, right? Either using natural language or using some of these suggestions that are here. So you can see some of the prompt suggestions. If I hit refresh, it will tell you some of the examples of things that you can do. Now, with Copilot, let's use natural language and build on this information that we have here. All right, so let's go in here and I'll say, add a column that shows the profit margin. Add a column that shows the profit margin, and I hit go. And as it's building that, it's generating formula column suggestions. One thing that it also does is when it builds that formula out for you, it will show, when it's getting the response back, it will show you what the formula is and it gives you an explanation. So you can see here, it's explained exactly what it's built out, right? Now I can click on insert column and I'm able to add a column using natural language. I'm not an Excel person. If I was supposed to do this myself, without Copilot, I don't know how long it'll take me because I have to go research how to actually get the formula to create this profit margin, right? So you can see here within less than a minute, I was able to build this out using natural language. So let's see some other things we can do here. I can ask you to add a red icon if the profit margin is less than 0. So let's say I come here, I say add a red icon if the profit margin is less than 0, and I hit go. It's almost there. It's building it out for us. And of course, we have a lot of data in here, so I just want a visual way to see what's what, right? Should pull this up for us in a few seconds. Okay, it's probably taking a little bit longer than I expected. I don't want to stop it. I'll give it a few more seconds. If not, I'll just stop it and have it run again. All right, so let's do this. Let me get the insights and I'll come back and get this. So I'll ask it to show me insights into my data and I'll have it go and do that again. So with this, it actually creates a pivot table for you, where you can actually then go out and you can, customize the fields if you wanted to. And let's see if it does this. If it doesn't, I might probably just close my Excel and open it back up. Maybe that'll be better. All right, I may have to do that. Okay, it's finishing up. Okay, all right. I think all right, it's almost there. Pull it up for us. All right, I think let me close this and I'll open it back up and let's run this prompt again. Let's do this. All right, let's I'm going to close all Excel windows. All right, let's open this back up. I want to run those prompts again and make sure that we're able to give you an idea of what this looks like. All right, so we'll still have our profit margin. I still click in, open up my Copilot again. And I'm going to ask it to show me insights into the data. All right, let's build this up for us now. Okay, it's analyzing the data. All right, so thank you, Copilot. All right, so it was able to build, get me the insights into my data. It's finishing up. One thing that it will give you the option to do also is to add it to a different sheet as well, so that we can put it in a separate sheet and then we can edit, the fields if we wanted to. All right, so it was able to also give me a description of what it did. I can click on add to a new sheet, and you can see here, let me slide this a little bit. And of course, you have the option to add or remove, to this, to the fields, as you can see here, and that I basically adjust the pivot chart as well, right? So using natural language, I was able to do that. Now, of course, it's a computer. I know it gave us a little bit of a snag at first, that may happen once in a while. This is my my fourth demo today, so and let's see. I might actually run that prompt again before I move into Outlook. I know we're kind of pushing on time. I want to be able to give us some minutes here to answer any questions that may be in chat if there's any. So add a red icon. Let's go here, and I'm just gonna have it do add a red icon. Profit margin less than 0. So I'm gonna run this again. Profit margin. So keyword red icon. Profit margin is less than 0. So I would like to be able to see it visually. And what it does is it will give you a green arrow for anything above 0 and give you a red arrow for anything below 0. All right, let's see if I still get this. If it doesn't, I might probably just move into Outlook and go from there. Okay. All right, thank you. So as you can see, it was able to visually, get us a downward pointing red arrow for anything below 0, and of course a green one. And of course, because we have a lot of data in here, it was able to pull that information for us. So like I mentioned, you can do this, using natural language. You can get prompt suggestions. It also tells you the things that, the kind of features that you get with Copilot and Excel here as well. So now let's move on to Outlook and see what we can do with Copilot in Outlook, which something that a lot of us probably use more frequently, depending on how many emails you get a day, right? right, let me pull this up. Okay, yep. So when you come back maybe on a Monday, you're out of office, or back from the holidays, a lot of times we have emails, or maybe I was out of office, loads of emails waiting. With Summary by Copilot, I can have Copilot summarize the email thread for me without actually having to go through each one myself. So I can click on Summary by Copilot, and basically it scans through the email, gets you key points to that particular thread, and then you can use that to judge if you need to go in and read through the email itself, the thread itself. So with this, I may just look at it. I'm like, you know what? With the summary I'm getting, everything looks good. I don't need to read through each email, and I can easily just respond back. So I can click on Reply All here, and I can click on Copilot, and I'll click on Draft with Copilot. So with Draft with Copilot, you also have an option here where you can change the tone or the length. So I can make it long, I can make it casual or neutral. Then I can ask it, basically to respond back to that email. I can say, hey, respond to the email below, right? I can also maybe put in a keyword, let them know I'll be out of office all of March, right? So respond to the email below. Also let them know I'll be out of office all of March. I want it neutral, long, and I'll generate this. So it's creating a draft, running through, and as you can see, it was able to, get this information for us. So I hope this email finds it well. I'm writing to let you know I'll be out of office month of March. I'm taking some personal time off. If I don't like what I see or I need some more, I can easily regenerate as well, or I can discard if I want to. It can regenerate that for me and give me more information. So there might be some situations where you may want to regenerate a few times, or you can edit it manually if you want. So when I hit regenerate, basically I thank you for sharing your thoughts on Azure for cloud computing, right? It also lets them know, I'll be out of office the entire month of March, right? When I'll be returning, and of course, if I like this, I can easily keep this and I can send it off if I wanted to. Now, in this situation, let's imagine I did not use Copilot to respond to the email to create a draft. Let's imagine I typed this up myself. I can then come in here. I can use Coaching by Copilot to analyze my draft that I put together myself, right? So Coaching by Copilot basically goes through that draft, and it gives you, it coaches your draft and talks about ideas on tone, reader sentiments, and clarity. Suggestions on things that you can either add or change, right? So you can see here, the tone, instead of I will inform you, you can change it to something like, I want to let you know, it says you could be more positive, with the reader sentiments, right? And clarity is basically just lets you know the things that it suggests that you can add or change within that draft, right? And if you like what you see, of course, you can go ahead and you can, send that email out to, respond back to the email to those that send it over to you. So yeah, so these are, some of the items or some of the features that you have with Copilot in our Office applications. Like I mentioned, we went through a demo on Copilot in, in Teams, which are Microsoft 365 chats. Talked about Copilot Web, in the URL. We talked about Copilot in Word, Copilot in PowerPoint, Copilot in Excel, and of course now Copilot in Outlook. So, but yeah, let's go back here and I'll go back and share my screen. And as we all know, or may not know, so Copilot for Microsoft 365, I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the webinar, it's included in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, and of course Microsoft Loop. Now with Microsoft Loop, this I couldn't do a demo on this one, but it's a collaboration application that you can use with your peers, and you can build upon if you are trying to collaborate on building a document. So, and with Loop, you have access to this in Teams as well. You have access to this in Outlook, and basically you can work on those documents from any of those applications. And of course, this includes Copilot as well. And as you know, $30 per user per month. And we don't have a cap anymore, you know, on the limits that you can purchase. So, but yeah, you know, you get Copilot on all these M365 applications. And all right, I'll go in chat and see if there's any questions in there. I know Shay has been helping me, helping us respond back to questions.
I think one question that from Mila is for organization. She says they have the Microsoft 365 licenses assigned, but she's not seeing the toggle between work and web. That's, I think, the only one that we've not answered so far.
Okay, so you have the M365 Copilot licenses, and you don't, let me pull that back up. You don't see this toggle yet. And how did you get to this URL? Copilot.microsoft.com? I guess that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are times it might take a few hours before this. I don't know how long you've had this assigned. I know for a while I was able to see this and some of my coworkers couldn't. Now, of course, they still had access to Copilot within Teams. So that's another way to get to it. Eventually, this will pop up because eventually, for my peers, it eventually came up. But another thing also is there might be a version of Edge that you're running. That's something else to take a look at. That might be what it is as well. That's something that you can take a look at and research. But one thing I know is when this first got launched, I had it and some of my peers didn't. Now, the other way to get to it, like I mentioned, you know, is basically just use your Copilot within Teams and you can get to it from there. You can get to the chatbot from there. Which is, let me see if I can. I have different flavors of it because I work at Microsoft, but this is what it looks like. So this is another way of getting to it if you don't see it in the URL. Yeah, update your life. And another thing here is, do you have, so I'm guessing what you have now is the web version. So that's another thing. Which one do you see? Do you see the web version or do you see the web version? When you just go to Copilot.microsoft.com, that's another thing I'm wondering. Because some organizations actually blocked Copilot for web. Yeah, okay. She says it doesn't show either. Because I know when Bing Chat Enterprise first got launched, which is Copilot Web, some schools and some organizations blocked Bing Chat for web. That's another thing that you may want to look at. You know, and if for some reason you've taken a look at that, so you have the work version. Okay, so you have the work version and not the web version. So yeah, so check and see, make sure it wasn't blocked earlier. And if you still can't figure that out, you may probably want to reach out to our technical team, you know, and try to open up a ticket with them and see what's going on in the back end. One thing I've seen was when we first launched Bing Chat Enterprise, a lot of schools and organizations were given the option to, you know, basically block it. And some people actually did block it. And of course, then they went ahead and purchased Copilot licenses. So it's always remembering, hey, maybe we blocked this and we need to go back and enable it. So, yeah. But yeah, we're right up on time. I guess so that's possible. Yeah.
There was one additional question around what's included with the A3 license. I already responded, but I don't know if you want to shed some light there.
Yes. So with your A3 license, you get the web version. Now, of course, if you purchase Copilot, you get a chatbot as well, Microsoft 365 Copilot. But with just an A3 license, what you get is Copilot for Web. And of course, once you sign in with your Entra ID, you get commercial data protection included.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Someone also tried to clarify the pricing and also the limits. And just to reconfirm, we do not have any limits on the number of users. You can purchase as little as one license and as much as you want. Right?
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah. No, we don't have any limits on the licenses anymore. It's $30 per user. You can purchase you can purchase one if you want or more. Now, of course, if it's something that you're trying to trial, of course, you may want to purchase more licenses to have other users be able to run through the different prompts, get insights on what you can do, what you cannot do, right? So, but at this time, you can purchase as many or as little as you want.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anthony. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We have a few more webinars on Entra Identity Governance, Defender for Office 365, and others. Feel free to register for those. Thank you so much for joining. The recording we've made available to you, and do have a lovely rest of your day.
All right. Thanks, everyone.